So, I watched a lot of videos, or not a lot. I try and keep track of some of the videos of people in my age range, like people who have just turned 70 and think that's old. This morning I was talking to somebody new on the phone and I said, well, I'm 85. She said, oh my God. That was her reaction. Oh my God. And I said, yeah, I feel the same way. Oh my God. I never thought I would live this long. I was born in 1941, no, 1940. The war was declared soon after World War II. As a child, I'm a baby, but you're sort of aware. Well, you're not aware. I was a baby. But one thing I do know that until I was about 7 or 8 years old, my world was completely women because all the men were at war. I lived in a world of women. Women made decisions. They didn't just make the food and put you to bed and change your clothes. They went to work. They made arms. They made munitions. They ran the butcher shops. They ran everything. They ran everything. They weren't it, and the men came home with their jobs back, and the women were like, "Hey, Betty Crocker," like shrinking, and taking alcohol, taking mill towns and drugs all day because they were so goddamn bored. And then there was the Cuban Missile Crisis, which happened right off of New York City, and we basically thought we weren't going to live through it. And also, by the way, they had us taking cover drills under our wood desks in case of an atomic attack. And we also had air raids in the street. We had air raid sirens in the street that would occasionally go off, and not only did they occasionally go off, my mother heard them when they weren't going off. And she would wake us up in the middle of the night. Get up, we have to go in the hallway and take cover. Take cover. And that went on till I was about, gosh, I was probably 10 years old, because my brother was 6 years old when he said, I don't care if I die, I'm not getting out of bed. He was the most sensible member of the family. And their air raid drills in the middle of the night stopped. But point is, we grew up with the idea that death was nearby. And death was very possible. And I think that actually has been a sort of curse on the United States for many, many years. And this was part of it too, this incredible paranoia of a country that was never invaded, always afraid of an invasion, always afraid of an invasion. So with countries that had invasions, they're not afraid of an invasion. They're aware of them. And they, have hopefully, they've got NATO. Hopefully that's going to be enough. But, it wasn't enough for Ukraine. I'm going to try not to go off because I'm actually making this video about adopting a dog. Now, I knew we didn't know. I think like when you plan a wedding, you think you know what you're getting into, and then you go, I didn't know what was going to be. I was walking my older geriatric dog home one day, and an older man, probably younger than me, everybody seems to be, came up to me who's holding a little puppy. And he said, I found this puppy. Do you want this puppy? I said, yes. And I did. Because I've been looking for a very long time for a puppy, because I have had a dog for 10 years now. Is it 10 years or is it 8 years? 2018. Oh, excuse me, it's 8 years. She's 10 years old, and it's 2008. I got her in 2018. Oh my God, and we were just so incompatible. I mean, I would have loved to have returned her, but you just can't take a dog back. And especially this dog that had been 15 months at the adoption agency center dog animal thing here in Mexico. And so I did training with her, and she became a little bit more manageable. She's small, but she's, oh my God. Yeah. She's a starer. She will stare at you, but she does not cuddle. And I thought I was getting a lap dog because she's small. She's going to be so cute. I'll be able to write, and she'll sit in my lap. What she do. Yeah, she jumps in your lap for a second and a half, then she jumps down, she gets a toy. And what she wants is for you to throw that toy to her. Now, look, I was only 77 or 78 when I adopted her. But 10 minutes, that's what I can do. Even today, 10 minutes, that's what I can do. She could do it for literally hours. I had a 4th of July party. My neighbor came with her 6-year-old son. And for the entire party, that 6-year-old threw a toy to her, and she brought it back to him. For the entire party, it was almost 3 hours. She still wasn't ready to end. And but mainly she's not a cuddler. And the first dog I ever had, I know she's a cuddler, but she was always at my side. She was always within hand's reach. I could always touch her. I was working at her because she was kind of large. She was a 60-pound dog. I could put my hand on her. She was there. I drove my car. She was right behind me. She was standing up right behind me looking out. When she died, it took me years. It took me literally years to recover. I had no idea that there was so much grief. Some people probably think that's, They can't believe it. And I do know people when their dog dies, they get like 2 weeks later, they get another one. I'm going, well, I'm not of that breed. I'm like, anyway, and in fact, it had been, I don't know, like the dog died in 2012 and I adopted, so 2018. It wasn't like a rush job. But I knew, I said, I got to have more rewards than this. I mean, it's one thing to be devoted and take care of an animal, and that's what I have done. And I always told her, I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to take good care of you. And I have. And we've had a lot of scares because she, in the beginning, I didn't know that one time, she's garbage. She's garbage. And I would like pull her away. But what I didn't know one time, she got her mouthful of onions, which will kill a dog, by the way, make them very, very sick, and it can kill them. And I didn't know that until the middle of the night when she's throwing up onions. And I went, oh my God, I got to get her to a vet, which I did. She had to have an IV. She had to have tests to make sure she had no damage to her organs. And even down here, that was a little bit of money, even here in Mexico. So then I have to monitor her when we walk, and I couldn't let her off leash because I didn't know what she would eat. So imagine my life. My life is managing this dog. That's been my life, making sure she doesn't eat anything that's going to kill her and trying to keep her weight down because it turns out she's got the beginning of spinal arthritis. And so I had to start cooking human food for her. And then I said, I've got to have some joy. I have got to have some joy. I got to have a few laughs a day. You know, that's what dogs are really good for. They make you laugh. They do stupid things that you laugh at. And so when this man walked up to me in the street and said, I found this dog, do you want her? I said, yes. And I took her home. And she was as big as a size 8 shoe, which is what I wear. And apparently she was close to 2 months old, but maybe only a week or two off of like mother's milk, her weaned from nursing. And somebody had dumped her somewhere. This is the 3rd dog, by the way, that's been dumped on my block in the last 6 months. I live in Mexico. And if people can't afford a dog, they throw it in the street, but not where they live. And we have a pretty good street because the other 2 dogs are being fed. They were not taken into their house, but they are being fed. And I arranged to have, I tried to have both of them spayed, but one of them got away. I got the female spayed about 2 weeks ago. I got another dog spayed too because just what we need, more puppies. Well, this dog, where is she? Well, she's napping now because it's about 10:30 and she's been going since 6:30 this morning. And I took her for a walk. That's my new thing, is trying to teach her to walk on leash. And I've discovered that we have quite near me a very nice park, like with exercise things for like grown-ups and a children's area and an enclosure for dogs. Unfortunately, it's an enclosure for dogs that I've noticed only men usually use with their dogs, and they don't go in there. They just let their dogs go in there like it's the toilet because they don't pick it up. But there is somebody who comes around at least once a week and cleans it up. And I did bring bags over there, plastic bags, and hung them up off the fence. So like maybe they'll get the hint. Anyway, we went walking this morning. We had 2 fights. One when she tried to eat another tissue that she found on the street, and another time when she was trying to eat a painted rock. Big fights. But she has learned to sit most of the time, and she has learned to down, like don't jump up. I'm at odds with this new training procedure, which is if she gets something you don't want her to have, she grabs the tissue and wants that. Like you give her a kibble or you give her a toy. I have discovered that rewards them for bad behavior. That it's much better to yell at them, scold them, and threaten them with something. Occasionally I smack her with a straw hat, whack her with a straw hat, and they go, oh, I'm paying attention now. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And I'm not giving you any kibble for it. So here, I'm an older woman. We've known this over, I keep mentioning this, and I'm single. And I live alone. And what I have missed, I realized now that I have a puppy, is cuddles. Because the puppy cuddles with me. She can really not bear very long to stay apart from me. If I weren't sitting at the table, if I were on the couch, there's no doubt that she would be sleeping next to me. And this morning I woke up with her head on my head. Right here. And I thought, oh, this is delicious. Because I had missed the contact. The physical contact of an animal. The other dog, I can pick her up. Actually, can't pick her up very long. If I picked her up to try and cuddle her, she really tries to fight to get loose. And it's not specific to me, by the way. she just does this with other people. She chooses who she wants to jump on and when she wants to jump off, and she doesn't stick it on you just because you would like to hold her a little. Like, oh, that's not who she is. And I think that's because she wasn't socialized. She was 15 months in an adoption center with other animals. She was in a group thing. They didn't have individual little cubicles like they have in the United States. She was with 10 other dogs of different sizes. But this dog is very, very loving, and everybody who comes, I have to actually teach her down so she doesn't jump up, because she's getting pretty big, by the way. As I said, she was about the size of my shoe when I adopted her, and now she is like about the size of 10 shoes. She is about close to probably, let's see, when we weighed her in, she was, I think, 9 kilos. So that's about, I'm going to say 18, almost 20 pounds. She is now 3 times the size of the little puppy. Of the 10-year-old puppy that I've had for 8 years, who loathes her, hates and despises her. Yesterday there was a fight in the car because the white dog, the little one is white, had gotten into the front seat, which is usually where the puppy, whose name is Letta, it's short for Galletta, which means cookie, had gotten in the back. The puppy wanted to get in the front, it's got in the front, and the white dog tried to get out the window to get away from her. She doesn't bark at her, and she doesn't snap at her. Occasionally she yells at her if there's too much that goes on. She endures her. She just endures her. And I feel very bad about this. This is dynamics I never thought I'd have to deal with, dog dynamics. I mean, imagine if you see these sort of videos on YouTube where somebody brings a newborn baby and the older kid who's 3 or 4 says, "Take it back. What did you do? You made a mistake." And I go, that's a real problem. That's a real problem. I didn't feel that way, by the way, when my brother was brought home. I was like, oh, thank God. Oh, thank God, there's another one of us. So, yeah. I think if you're able-bodied, so far I am, and I have to be careful because, you know, they knocked me over about 5 weeks ago, and I'm really just recovering. That is one thing you realize when you age. Take a little longer to recover. Right about now I was thinking, oh, if I could find a physiotherapist, it wouldn't be a bad idea. But I seem to finally have gotten my shoulder back and my knee. My ankle recovered pretty fast. My knee took a little more time. And right about now it's pretty good. Because I fell on a cement floor, took the brunt of it on my knee. I thought it was just my knee. One thing about a fall, first of all, try and avoid it. But when you're of a certain age, at any age when you fall, unless you're 4 or 5, it's like being in a hit and run accident, or you've been smacked, because everything's jolted. We've tensed on our way down. So that's part of why it hurts so much. But so yeah, I tripped over one of the leashes. It's my fault. I took 2 dogs into a restaurant at the same time. That's a big mistake. You take one in, tie it up, and then you go the other. I don't know what happened. I do know what happened. I got very weary because one thing is the dog is very distracting. One dog wants one thing, one dog wants the other thing. And I have to like focus on what does Carol want? What does Carol want? Which is to survive this, to be whole and mobile by the time she gets back home. That's what she wants. It is a challenge. I have to sometimes, I was so exhausted last week I couldn't think straight. But I also did manage to write a new story called Lucy's Day of Reckoning, which is about a woman who basically realizes that her nice Jewish husband is actually a fascist and has to come to grips with it. It's up on my WordPress page. Nobody ever reads WordPress page. And I don't advertise it because why? I'm not selling it. It's free. It's the same reason I don't monetize the channel here. Why? I'm not selling anything and it's free. I know they put ads on it. Those aren't ads for me. I'm not getting any sponsors. I don't know if I even want one. It's too exhausting. Too exhausting. What paperwork? I don't care about it. That's the joy of getting older. You can make decisions about getting older and being, I can't say financially secure because who really knows what that means, you know, but I would say that my home is paid for and I probably have enough money in the bank if my pensions were to go to the wind because God knows what's going on economically in the United States. It wouldn't harm me and I have a room for rent if I had to. So once you have your finances, I will not say secure. You can't say secure. I don't care if you've got $1 million or $2 or $3 or $4 million. Do you have it? No, you've got it on a screen. You have it on a screen somewhere. So unless it's in hard assets like a house, a paid for house, and the clothes on your back, you ain't got it, honey. It's just numbers on a screen, numbers on a screen. Oh, I see my beautiful blue agave painting print in the back, and it's actually an original print. Yeah. So that's, I'm covering a lot of things this morning because it's a long video for me, but I haven't made one in about a little while. And I suppose it's also about aging. Every day is grace. Every day is grace, especially if you're mobile and your body's working for you. Then you got a lot to be grateful for, because a lot of people are dealing with real hardships, and finding who they are in their space ain't on their agenda. On their agenda is, can they get their prescription meds? And we should all be grateful and help them where we can. I really do. I am in Mexico, and I do the best I can. When I say that, I mean, often what I mean is small kindnesses. Just look for small kindnesses. And I actually had an opportunity for that this morning, and I'll tell you about that another time. But another small kindnesses are what my dogs do for me. And they don't even know that. They don't even know it.